March 10, 2019. Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 nosedives into the ground 6 minutes after takeoff. 157 people dead. 5 months earlier, Lion Air Flight 610. Same aircraft, same terrifying descent. 189 people gone. 2 brand new Boeing 737 MAX planes. 2 catastrophic crashes. And 1 dirty secret. Boeing knew. They knew the plane had a problem. They sold it anyway. This is the story of how the world's most trusted aircraft manufacturer chose profit over human life, and how that choice killed 346 people. For a century, Boeing meant safety. When you heard that name, you thought American engineering, reliability, trust. They built the planes that won World War II. They created the 747, the queen of the skies. Boeing wasn't just an aerospace company, it was an icon. But by 2011, Boeing had a problem. Their rival Airbus just launched the A320neo, a fuel-efficient update to their most popular plane. Airlines loved it. Lower fuel costs meant higher profits, and they were lining up to buy. Boeing was in trouble. They had 2 options. Option 1, design a completely new aircraft from scratch. Cost, billions of dollars. Timeline, 10 years. Option 2, upgrade their existing 737, a plane designed in the 1960s. Slap some new engines on it, sell it fast. They chose option 2. They called it the 737 MAX. The pitch was perfect. Same plane pilots already knew how to fly. No expensive retraining needed. Better fuel efficiency. Airlines could save millions. American, Southwest, United, they all wanted in. Boeing racked up orders for over 5,000 aircraft before the first one even flew. Wall Street was ecstatic. The stock soared. But there was a catch, and Boeing knew exactly what it was. The new engines were bigger, more powerful, more efficient. But there was a physics problem. The only place they fit on the old 737 airframe was further forward and higher up on the wing. This changed how the plane flew. At certain angles, the nose could pitch up dangerously, stall the aircraft, kill everyone on board. Boeing's solution? Software. They created something called MCAS, Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System. Sounds impressive, right? Here's what it actually did. If the plane's nose pitched up too much, MCAS would automatically push it back down. Problem solved. Except it wasn't solved. It was hidden. Boeing made a calculated decision. They didn't tell pilots about MCAS. It wasn't in the flight manuals. It wasn't in training materials. Why? Because if they disclosed it, regulators might require extra pilot training. Simulator time. That would cost airlines money. That would slow down sales. That would hurt Boeing's bottom line. So they buried it. They told the FAA the 737 MAX was essentially the same as the old 737. No significant differences, no additional training required. Just a quick iPad course. Pilots around the world were flying a fundamentally different aircraft, and they had no idea. But MCAS had another problem. It relied on a single sensor, one angle of attack indicator on the nose of the plane. If that sensor malfunctioned and sent bad data, MCAS would activate when it shouldn't. It would push the nose down, hard, repeatedly, and pilots wouldn't know why their plane was trying to crash itself. Boeing engineers knew this was dangerous. Internal messages later revealed they called the system egregious and insane. One engineer asked, "Would you put your family on a MAX simulator-trained aircraft?" Another replied, "No." They sold it anyway. October 29, 2018. Lion Air Flight 6102 takes off from Jakarta. 12 minutes later, it slams into the Java Sea at 450 miles per hour. The pilots fought the plane the entire way down. They didn't know about MCAS. They didn't know a faulty sensor was feeding bad data. They didn't know the system was forcing the nose down over and over 21 times in total. The cockpit voice recorder captured their final moments. Panic, confusion, desperation. They never stood a chance. Boeing's response? Blame the pilots. Blame Indonesia's safety standards. Blame maintenance. They issued a notice about MCAS, finally acknowledging it existed, but insisted the plane was safe. Airlines kept flying it. Regulators kept approving it. The MAX stayed in the air. Inside Boeing, people were terrified. Employees sent frantic messages. This airplane is designed by clowns who are supervised by monkeys. Another wrote, "I'll be shocked if the FAA passes this." But publicly, silence. The stock price mattered more than the truth. Then came March 10th, 2019. Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302. Same scenario. Faulty sensor. MCAS activates. The pilots, experienced, well-trained, fought for control. 6 minutes after takeoff, the plane hit the ground at 575 miles per hour. The impact was so violent, the largest intact piece of the aircraft was the size of a car door. 346 people total. Mothers, fathers, children, all dead because Boeing wanted to save money on pilot training. The world grounded the 710 MAX within days, every single one. Boeing's stock cratered. The FAA, which had been cozy with Boeing for years, suddenly faced a credibility crisis. How did they approve this plane? Why did they trust Boeing's own engineers to certify their own aircraft? Investigations uncovered the rot. Internal emails showed Boeing employees mocking regulators. "I want to stress the importance of holding firm that there will be no simulator training," one manager wrote. Another bragged about manipulating the FAA. "Jedi mind-tricked them," he said. Congressional hearings were brutal. Families of the victims filled the room, holding photos of the people Boeing killed. Dennis Muilenburg, Boeing's CEO, squirmed in his seat. He offered condolences but dodged accountability. "These two accidents should never have happened," he said. No kidding. Boeing paid $2.5 billion to settle criminal charges, a fraction of their annual revenue. The MAX was grounded for 20 months. Airlines lost billions. Boeing's reputation, built over a century, was in ruins. But here's the kicker. No one went to jail. Not Muilenburg. Not the engineers who knew. Not the executives who pushed the plane through certification. Muilenburg walked away with $62 million. The families got settlements. The dead stayed dead. Boeing's crime wasn't just cutting corners. It was a culture shift. In 1997, Boeing merged with McDonnell Douglas. The McDonnell Douglas executives took over. They brought Wall Street thinking with them, maximize shareholder value, cut costs, move fast. Engineering took a backseat to quarterly earnings. One Boeing engineer said it plainly. "We used to build great planes. Then we started building great PowerPoints." The 737 MAX has since returned to service. Boeing fixed MCAS, added redundancy, mandated training. The plane is probably safe now. Probably. But trust? That's not something you fix with software updates. 346 people died because a company decided profit mattered more than safety. Because executives knew their product could kill, and they sold it anyway. Because regulators were too close to the industry they were supposed to police. This is what corporate greed looks like at 30,000 feet. This is what happens when you worship shareholders instead of passengers. This is Boeing's legacy now. Financial crimes don't always happen in boardrooms with spreadsheets. Sometimes they happen in the sky. Sometimes the red ink is blood. The game is rigged. The powerful rarely pay. But someone has to keep the ledger. If you want to see who really runs the world and what they're willing to sacrifice for profit, subscribe. Keep your eyes open and never stop asking questions. Because the next Boeing is already out there, cutting corners, hiding the truth, waiting for someone to notice. Will you?